welcome to the Say Yes to What's Next podcast, where embracing change can ignite a world of possibilities. Hey now, I'm your host, Elise Ancel, and welcome to today's episode, Press to Pivot. Life has a way of throwing us into situations we didn't plan for, right? Things like work pressures, unexpected changes at home, or just that feeling of being stuck. It all has a way of pressing on us. But what if those moments weren't meant to stop us, but to pivot us into something better? Today, we're exploring how life's challenges aren't here to hold us back, but to push us forward toward new opportunities, a better way of living, or maybe even a version of ourselves we've yet to meet. Let's dive into what it means to embrace the press and pivot into your next chapter. I'm remembering how excited I was to contract my services as I'd be gaining a new client to build my business. But how quickly things changed. I ended up having to sever that business relationship because I soon learned all opportunities aren't good opportunities. I've been in my line of work as a learning and development professional for some time now, and as a contractor, you have to have tough skin and not allow your emotions to be all over the place because of all the personalities and politics involved. But this was my first experience working in an environment that went far beyond micromanaging. It felt like I was confined and constantly under the microscope. Not to mention how mentally exhausting it was from day to day to work under that management style. The level of working dysfunction was at an all-time high as management had no organization or knowledge of what each team was doing. Every time you looked, someone was pulling you into another meeting. For about the first month, this is how my days were, exhausting and draining. Just when it seemed like things were settling, the vicious cycle started all over again. And I just couldn't rest in that uncomfortable environment that made it nearly impossible to do my job. Those uncomfortable encounters eventually pushed me out. I finally made the decision to part ways. What a relief. Now I could reset and prepare for my next opportunity. But just as soon as I'm back in the swing of things with a new project, I received a phone call from a colleague I was working with. I saw I had a missed call while at the salon, but I decided to wait to return the call once I was finished. I was informed that the entire department where I worked was being eliminated, which would be effective at the end of the year. Mind you, it's midsummer. Definitely didn't need that news hanging over me. With upcoming vacation plans I had already mapped out for the remainder of the year. But yep, just like that, the decision was made due to no fault of my own. I was being pushed out. Crazy, just on how when you least expect it, life changes. I knew I needed to get my own company back in motion with building additional clientele, but thought I had time. And I was definitely thankful for the heads up so I could recruit and begin preparing for another open door before that one officially closed. So once again, pushed or pressed, I'd have to begin again. But honestly, I was so looking forward to embracing brand new opportunities I had not yet discovered. So let's talk about it. Life's challenges don't happen to punish us. They're often pushing us into a better position. Think about those moments when you felt pressed. Weren't they the times something in your life needed to shift? It's not always easy to see it in the moment, but those challenges are nudging you towards something new, something better. When you're in the middle of a pivot, it doesn't always feel like progress. It's messy, uncomfortable, and sometimes disheartening. But here's the thing. What feels like falling apart is often the beginning of things coming together in a way you couldn't have imagined. Those cracks you're worried about, they might just be letting in the light to reveal your next step. The pressure you're feeling isn't meant to break you. It's shaping you. Without it, we stay in the same place, avoiding discomfort. But that pressing forces us to dig deeper, to discover strengths we didn't know we had. and to prepare for something greater. Sometimes it feels like opportunities are slipping away, but closed doors are loud reminders to pivot. Instead, they're saying, hey, this isn't your path anymore. It's not failure, it's a redirection. Trust that shift, even if it feels uncertain. The messy middle, where everything feels uncertain and unclear, that's where transformation happens. It's where you figure out what you really want, what matters most, and how to step forward with intention. It's uncomfortable for sure, but it's necessary. Pressure has a way of revealing purpose. It makes us pause and ask, what am I really supposed to be doing here? It's in those pressing moments that clarity often shows up, pushing us to move differently, to pivot towards something that better aligns with who we are becoming. And those pivots, they're proof that you're growing. It's tempting to want to stay in the safe, familiar place, but growth rarely happens there. Life pressing you to pivot means you're actually ready for more, even if it doesn't feel that way quite yet. So let's take a moment to think about where life might be pressing on you right now. Is it in your work, your relationships, or maybe something within yourself that's been asking for change? Instead of focusing on how hard it feels, ask yourself, what is this pressure trying to show me? What might it be preparing me for? Sometimes the most challenging seasons are the ones that open the biggest doors. If you've been resisting a pivot, maybe it's time to look at it differently. What if this shift wasn't about losing something, but about gaining clarity, purpose, or even a better way forward? Think about this. Where could saying yes to a pivot lead you? What's one small step you can take to lean into it? As we wrap up, let's recap what was discussed in this episode. Life doesn't press on us to leave us stuck. It presses to move us. Whether it's a closed door, an unexpected detour, or just a feeling that something needs to change, it's all part of the process of becoming who you're meant to be. So this week, I encourage you to lean into the press. Ask yourself, what new opportunities or better ways of living might be waiting on the other side of it? And remember, every pivot, no matter how small, is a step toward your next chapter. Thank you for tuning in today. I hope this episode resonated with you, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to share your reflections on the blog or streaming platform you listen on. Until the next time, keep embracing the journey, and don't forget you're exactly where you need to be. Thanks for joining me today. Stay tuned, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Say Yes to What's Next. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Until the next time.